Hey doves, I am super excited for today's video because we're going to be doing something sustainable, something good for the planet on this Earth Celebration Month, and I'm going to be showing you how I reuse and repurpose bottles. And you can do this for any bottles, jars, or other containers that have these issues that arise when you try to reuse them or repurpose them. And then make sure you hit that subscribe button if you like this video. And also just make sure to subscribe right now, because I will be having a new little series coming up where I go through how I make some of my own skincare and hair care products to save money, basically, and buying kind of ingredients in bulk and then making my own stuff. And then reusing the bottles is really helpful to help facilitate that, and to just be really sustainable and to line up with your budget if that's a concern for you right now. And also if you just like to have fun and make your own stuff. So whatever your reasoning is, make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you can get notified on those new videos. And I hope you enjoy this one. It's going to be filled with tons of tips for how to repurpose your bottles and make them look cute, and just making them work for you. Okay, so the first thing about cleaning out bottles, and you can do these with plastic or glass, but today we have some glass bottles. We have an assortment. We have a dropper bottle. This was actually a supplement bottle, but I always keep dropper bottles because, like, you never know. Yeah, I'm one of those people. But I do use them for a lot of different things. And then I have this spray, really super nice glass cobalt blue bottles, and they're just super cute. The words are printed on them. This one has a label, and that's kind of plasticized, and this one has a paper label. And so we're gonna go over how to get all of these cleaned up and make them work for you. I just have a bowl and some Castile soap. It doesn't need to be scented with anything. Dr. Bronner's is a great concentrated soap brand that is completely natural. It's a great company, and they're easy to find. You can find them in most stores, including like Fred Meyer's. And it is a very concentrated soap, so it's good for cleaning in its concentrated form, as well as diluting into foaming hand soap, which I love to use. That's another really great sustainability tip, where you can reuse bottles like this one, and just mix a bit of the concentrated soap in with water in a foamer bottle, and it'll last you, like this bottle, refilling foamer bottles will last you a ridiculously long time. So that's another bonus tip for saving some money. And you will also need some hot water, as well as this is where it gets a little weird. We have some sandpaper. You might be able to guess what I'm going to do with that. I don't know exactly what grit of sandpaper we're going to need to make this work. Haven't done this before, but we're gonna find out today. So stick around. So the first thing we want to do is start off with the ones that had oil in them. So this is an essential oil bottle. I'm gonna take the cap off. I'm gonna drop it in that bowl. I'm gonna take off the dropper. I like to save these because I have my little collection of essential oils, and I can reuse them, make my own oil blends when I need to, and I have these containers. I'm gonna put a couple drops of concentrated soap in here. Oh, that was real messy. That's fine. We're cleaning. Doesn't matter. And then I'm gonna pour hot water into the bottle. I'm gonna set this down because pouring hot water into glass, it will obviously get very hot. Make sure the hot water gets above the label, and you just want to let it sit there in the soapy water. This will help break down the oils, and then the hot water will also help loosen the label. So in that bowl, there's a lot of small components. I'm actually going to take the dropper, pop the glass out of the cap here and put that in the bowl as well. And then we're gonna fill up this glass bottle with hot water and soap. It doesn't need as much soap because this was not an oil-based thing. It was just a water-based thing. But we do want to fill it up so that the label is completely covered from the inside to loosen that label up. You don't need to pour it up all the way to the top, also so that you can grab the top of it without burning your fingers. Please be careful. I'm gonna drop a little bit of soap into the bowl and then add hot water to that as well until all of the little doodads in here are covered. Just kidding, this is rubber. One moment. So I'm putting a little bit of hot water in there, but not enough to get up to the rubber. And then I'm just going to fill up the rest of it to the top with warm water. And you'll see your soapy water bowl here. I'm going to, this seems to move well. I'm gonna test the sprayer on this bottle. A little bit of salt encrusted around the top there. So I'm gonna fill this with water and make sure that the sprayer works. Beautiful. So, don't need to worry about that, but there are still a lot of small components. You can, to get that sprayer really clean, drop a little bit of soap in here with this warm water. This was also not oil-based, so I don't need a ton of soap in there. And give it a shake and give it a spray. And just, you can spray it into the sink just several times just to get the kind of clean soapy water going through the nozzle, through all of the components in the sprayer there so that it gets all clean. And then you can also cap it, shake up the bottle, and then rinse it out. So I'm rinsing out the sprayer and then I'm going to dump out the bottle. And then I refill the bottle with water, dump it out again, and just basically repeat until there's no more soapiness in it. And now we have a clean bottle and a clean spray nozzle. Our other ones here have been soaking for a little bit. I'm gonna mix around the caps in that bowl of soapy water. I'm gonna take just that essential oil cap again, cap it, and give it a good shake. By now it is cool enough to where it should not be burning your hand. Depending on how hot the water was, please make sure to test it before you just grab it. So I am soaking that up real good. It's also good to wash and rinse off the outside. This will also kind of help if the label is paper, it'll help kind of break it up from the outside as well. You can see it's all nice and soapy in there. And then I'm gonna do the same thing where I keep filling it and dumping it until there's no more soap. Okay, and I also want to make sure that it doesn't look like there's any oil residue inside left over. This is just washing them out. This is not sterilizing them, although using the boiling water, like in order to sterilize them, you would have to pour boiling water into the bottles again, and then dump them out. So I'll show you here. You can start trying to peel off the paper and see if that did a good enough job to remove it. So you can start around the edges, and as you can see, it's on there pretty good. And that's not really gonna wanna come off. Here, steel wool is really, really good. Get the kind where it's just steel, there's no soap. It's literally like steel wires instead of like the really fine steel hairs that you get in the ones that have like soap in them. Just get the plain steel, no soap, kind of steel scrubber rather than steel wool. And that works really good to like scrub off, gently scrub off the paper if the paper does not want to come off easily. So you can see I'm getting a little bit of it here. I'm gonna mix around the stuff in that bowl a bit more. Make sure everything looks clean. We have our essential oil dropper, our glass dropper, and cap. And I'm just gonna rinse those out because those are now all clean. Okay, so this clearly is one of those kind of tougher paper ones to get off, so we will come back around to that with the scrubber. This has been soaking for a bit. This is a little bit more of a plasticized label, so we're gonna see if this will just peel off. With the hot water having soaked in there for a bit, looks like it's going pretty darn well. We'll watch that peel right off. And there we go. Now we have removed our label from that bottle, and we had soapy water in here. We're gonna dump it out and do that same rinse and repeat. There's only a tiny, I don't even think I could show you guys, there's only a tiny, tiny bit of sticky residue left on this bottle. So I'm gonna pat it dry real quick. You can kind of see there might be some fuzzy spots where the towel left behind, you can see maybe a little bit of residue there. So this is where we take our orange essential oil. Bitter orange actually works best for cleaning, but I like to use the sweet orange for other things like homemade perfumes. So I don't have any bitter orange currently. I just use the sweet one because it works just as well. There's also a really great brand of cleaning supply. It's a concentrated thing that is very similar to this. It's basically like orange peel extract stuff. It's called Citrisolv, and it works really good for cleaning as well as stuff like this. I find that the essential oil is really, the straight essential oil is really, really good for tougher labels and residue. You're literally just gonna put a couple of drops of that onto there. Certain essential oils, if you are sensitive to citrus at all, do not use your hands or use gloves if you want to protect, or if you have sensitive skin at all. You want to protect against that, I literally just rub it around. That citrus oil will break right through the residue. And then you just rinse it off. Dry it off. And you are left with a squeaky clean bottle. We're gonna pop that dropper back into the lid there. And now I would recommend letting it dry completely before doing this. But now you can, once it's dry, you can seal it up and you have a clean dropper bottle to use for whatever you want to use it for. Body oils, facial oils, hair oils, whatever you want to do. Let's look at this one. So this bottle and this sprayer are all clean. Let me clarify that this sandpaper is the waterproof wet dry version. So you can use this wet or you can use it dry. I'm gonna go ahead and fold this piece in half, and we are going to attempt, I've only had this work in theory in my head, so we're going to attempt to create a, what do they call that? A sea glass bottle effect, DIY. And as well as just sand off the print that is on these bottles and other bottles like this. So you can do this with glass. I don't recommend doing it with plastic just because plastic will house a lot of bacteria, will get stuck in there a lot easier because it's not going to kind of buff like glass does. So anyways, let's find out. This is a 220 wet dry sandpaper. In case you don't know, the numbers indicate how fine or coarse a grit is for the sandpaper. The higher the number, the finer it is. The lower the number, the coarser the grit is, the rougher it is. So 60 grit, for example, is like one of the roughest ones you can get, and then 220 is pretty darn fine. So we're gonna start with this one, and we we are just going to sand. It looks like it's already working. So you can see this. Yep, so you can see that sanding right off. I love it when things are no longer theory. Or I guess now it's a theory and before it was a hypothesis. Science. Okay, I will come back to you when I'm done sanding all around this bottle with this 220 sandpaper. Okay, so I've sanded off all of the words, and I'm just gonna keep going until I get it all to be kind of this whitish color here, where it's all smooth and kind of but roughed up like that. Okay, so this is basically like one layer of sanding. That's what it looks like. I went ahead and I rinsed it and I dried it, and that's what it looks like. I put some water on the sandpaper, and I'm just gonna continue to do that. The water's nice because it'll help that sea glass effect, but it will also just keep the dust from flying. This is what we're looking at right now. I think using the water on that sandpaper definitely does help. It's definitely getting softer sea glass looking. I'm gonna keep working at it until I like it. Okay guys, so this is how the sanding came off. It looks kind of rustic. It looks like sea glass. It looks like it's been tossed around in the ocean for a bit. Not perfect, but for the purposes of this video, this is a couple of layers of sanding. And if I did a couple more, I could get that really, really smooth finish. This one's a little bit more rustic, a little bit more fresh. Those were completely opposing adjectives, but hopefully you understand what I mean. It's not completely a classic 100% sea glass effect. I think it looks really cool though. I love it. It's nice. It feels soft. It's kind of cool that you can like put this a really random thing, but you can get like your fingerprints on it. And then they'll fade away. But this is the Sea Glass Effect DIY. It's now a blank bottle for you to label however you want, as well as this one that we just got all clean. Now onto the essential oil one. So this is a clean bottle, and you can see this is what it looks like after you use the steel scrubber to scrub off that paper that was being really stubborn. So next, you're gonna take that orange essential oil, really again, just take a few drops, rub it around on there, and it will just start to dissolve. It's gonna look kind of gross at first probably, but it will just dissolve right through it with just a couple of drops, and you can see me start to just wipe off. Looks like boogers, honestly, but you can use a wash rag to really help this process too, but I just ran that under warm water and continue to push it off, and then dried it. As you can see, there's still residue, so we're gonna go ahead and give it a take two. Put a couple more drops and rub that around, just breaking up the last of that residue. This works super easy, super fast. Labels can be a pain in the butt, but that steel scrubber and then orange essential oil make it super easy. So again, now that we got all of the goo off, we do have some of that oil, a little bit of residue left over. So we're just going to rinse the bottle with some Castile soap. So you just move it around, soak it up, get the outside all nice and clean like the inside is, and dry it off. Obviously you could just put these in a dish rack or something to dry too. But I'll show you all nice and done. Oh, and this is also a good reason to dry it off with a towel because there may still be a little bit of residue left over. I don't know if you can see that. So we're gonna go ahead and give it a third take. with the orange essential oil. Just make sure we get all that residue off, get a nice clean bottle. Okay, so now it's all dry, all clean. We can pop that guy back in there, the dropper lid, and then screw that cap back on. Remember, always best to do that when it is, seal them up after they've dried out completely. But just to show you, now we have uno, dos, and tres. And these are your 3 bottles. All clean, all ready to be repurposed, reused for whatever you want them to be used for. We have a dropper bottle, a spray bottle, and an essential oil bottle, all clean and ready to be reused. So there you have it. That's how you do it. I will be looking into if there's any possible way to reuse plastic bottles. Normally bottles with a neck can be recycled, even ones with print on them. But if I ever get a jar, a plastic jar, I try not to buy anything in plastic now, so I don't know if I'll be able to do that. But if I ever do come across it, I will of course try my best to figure out how to make that reusable. If it's even possible to get printed letters off of a plastic container. But for now, we have removing labels we went over today, how to get rid of that extra residue, how to get rid of printed text on a glass bottle, which is just to turn it into a sea glass bottle. Really fun stuff to make it your own. A quick note about labeling. Now that you have these cute, clean bottles to reuse, some of my favorite ways to label are to use these chalkboard labels. You can get all different sizes, all different types of styles, and you can pop those on a bottle and get the chalk pens, and you can get those in any colors and different, you know, chisel tip or fine tip. There's tons of options for that, crafty things for you to make it your own. And then you could literally just draw like a little picture on there that, you know, is representative of whatever's in the bottle. So you can have fun with it. Another favorite way I have of labeling, and my last tip here for this video, is to just use different colored string or twine, such as this. So I just used a black and white string here. This is kind of fun too, because sometimes when you get, when you order things online, they'll like have little bits, where you get presents or something, gifts, they'll have little bits of string or something that's wrapped around them. Sometimes that will happen. And you can reuse those as well. But if not, string twine is really great for a lot of different things, and you can use it to label your bottles. So I know that this black and white one is hydrogen peroxide. And yeah, that's about it. You can color code, or you can put on actual labels. There's tons of different labels, chalk ones or otherwise. And I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video and my quick tips for how you can be sustainable by reusing your glass bottles. And also how to just properly clean your bottles. And remember that if you need to sterilize them, you can just pour hot water onto those components, as long as they're not rubber, and that will sterilize them. So thank you so much for joining me here with this video. I hope it was fun for you. I hope that you learned something new, and let me know down below what your favorite way is to label or reuse bottles. You know, what's your style? What's your aesthetic? Thank you so much for being here, doves, and I will see you in the next video.